Time shared on the water with friends and family can create memories that last a lifetime. Whether you're in the captain's seat or riding behind the boat, these experiences can open new doors that will help you make the most out of every summer. I'm Dylan.
And I'm Carro. Together, we're going to walk you through the basics of towed water sports to help you unlock a new level of confidence, so you can make the most of every minute on the water and go boldly into each adventure that comes your way.
Action sports terminology has been steadily making its way into mainstream culture since the early 90s, so you might already be somewhat familiar with common lingo that wakeboarders and wakesurfers use.
Much of it was adopted from surfing, skateboarding, and even snowboarding. Now, if you're not familiar with these sports, the terminology we use on the water could sound like a foreign language.
To help clear things up, we're going to walk you through some basic wakeboard and wakesurf terminology we like to use in the boat.
Let's start with two of the most used terms in all board sports, regular and goofy. They refer to the foot you have forward in your stance. If your left foot is forward, which is more common, then you have a regular stance. If your right foot is forward, you have a goofy stance.
If you haven't previously taken part in board sports and are trying to determine which foot you should have in front, an easy way to find out is to have a friend nudge you on the back. Whichever foot you naturally step forward with is most likely the foot you should have in front while wakeboarding. I'm most comfortable with my right foot forward, so I'm goofy stance.
And I'm most comfortable with my left foot forward, which makes me regular stance. But this doesn't necessarily mean I'm only allowed to ride with my left foot forward. One of the fun parts about any board sport is learning to switch and ride with your unnatural foot forward.
We refer to this as switch stance, which is a cool skill to learn as your riding progresses. Most professional riders work very hard to learn tricks in both stances, which can help improve their scores during competition or impress their peers and fans in videos.
That pretty much does it for stance talk, other than one more key thing that might be confusing for someone new to this. The term regular can be used in two different ways. The first, like we discussed earlier, describes riders whose natural stance is left foot forward. That's regular stance. But regular is also used to identify a trick performed in your natural stance rather than your switch stance.
For example, I'm goofy stance. If I performed a trick with my right foot forward, the name of the trick would start with the term regular because I performed it in my natural stance. But if I perform that same trick with my left foot forward, the trick name would start with the term switch.
Next up are heel side and toe side. These are pretty straightforward and are used only in the wakeboard world. When you see a wakeboarder approaching the wake for a jump with their back facing toward the wake, leaning on their heels, we call this heel side. If they're approaching the wake for a jump with their chest facing toward the wake, leaning on their toes, we call that toe side.
That leads us to front side and back side, which are two of the most commonly used terms among all board sports. They're used to describe the direction a rider spins during a trick and also describe the way a surfer is riding a wave.
Here's how we can apply them to spin direction. In this clip, the rider's performing a frontside 180. It's called frontside because they turn the front of their body towards the boat first while spinning.
And here's a clip of someone doing a backside 180. It's called backside because they turn the back of their body toward the boat first while spinning.
Now here's how we use them to identify the way a surfer is riding a wave. Check out this clip of someone surfing the wave frontside. As you can see, the front of their body is facing toward the wave, which is why we call it frontside.
And here's a clip of someone surfing with their back facing the wave, which is why we call it backside.
We know it can be a bit tricky to identify some of these things at the start, but the more you're around it, the more natural it will become. For us, using these terms has become second nature.
And as long as you stick with it, you'll have this wake lingo down in no time. Now for the fun part. Watch these next two clips and see if you can identify the tricks.
If you guessed toe side backside 360 for the first one and heel side frontside 360 for the second, you're correct. Now once more in slow motion.
As you can see, they're approaching with their chest to the wake and leaning on their toes, which makes it toe side. As they leave the wake, you can see that their back is facing toward the boat as they initiate the spin, which makes it backside. And lastly, they do one full rotation, making a 360.
Now they're approaching with their back to the wake while leaning on their heels, which makes it heel side. As they leave the wake, you can see that their chest faces the boat as they initiate the spin, which makes it front side. And lastly, they also do one full rotation, making it a 360.
We hope you enjoyed learning some wakeboard and wakesurf terminology.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Boating Basics presented by Mercury Marine.